And welcome into a Monday edition of the Backstage Pass. Always alive and in living color here, and thankful to be here for another week. Of course, the countdown to Country Radio Seminar is on. It's in person, and it's going to take place February 23rd to 25th at the Omni Hotel. Myself and, of course, Jeff McMahon, Kirsty Krause there. A lot of interviews being set, and good to be back with Jeff here on this Monday, January 24th of our good Lord and Savior 2022, and a special treat for you today. A lot of new projects out, and we're excited to have him here on the show. Actor, filmmaker, and musician, a guy that's been around for a long time doing a lot of different projects and entertaining the audience. It's John Schneider here on the Backstage Pass. John, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm just delighted to be here. While we were waiting for you to start, apparently the president just called somebody from Fox a really bad name. I just got a text while you were giving me my introduction. This thing came over and said, "So Biden just called so-and-so a such and such."
Uh-oh. Well, words are violence.
Yep, breaking news.
Well, apparently, because I enjoyed mean tweets, but I tell you what, a lot of people are missing mean tweets right about now.
Yeah.
Especially in the Ukraine.
Hey, tell me about, speaking of this weird pandemic, hey, 20 months, crazy. Things are starting to kind of just get back into the swing of things. You're keeping busy. Some new projects. How did you have to, or did you have to reinvent yourself these past 20 months during this pandemic?
No, I'm just an arrogant SOB. So I believe that, I believe we were designed by God to do something very specific because God is up to something that we're part of. And if you allow your government, either local or federal, to interfere with what you truly and honestly believe is God's plan for your life, then I question your belief in the plan. So we didn't. A couple of things that we had to do because my main union, the Screen Actors Guild, just went absolutely crazy. And started enforcing and inflicting these new rules and regulations upon people. So we had to figure out ways to be able to film. Let's see, since this started, we did Stand on It. We did Poker Run. Mm-hmm. We are now starting To Die For. And we did, I think, 4 albums. And we toured. And we started racing dirt track cars. So, we didn't stop anything we were doing. In fact, we thrived during this time because I still believe this is a free country. And I still believe that in the face of adversity is an opportunity to do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Because let's face it, in any walk of sports, if you have the ball and there's nobody on your butt like that, then you're probably not a very good player. You're probably not much of a threat. So we looked at all this, and I'm going to go ahead and call it what I've been calling it for 2 years: nonsense, and decided to thrive. And I've called a bunch of people out on they're saying, in the interest of public safety, we're canceling our tour. And I've said, what they really mean is they didn't sell any tickets, so they're canceling their tour. I'm not going to call anybody out. But the word line is in there anyhow. What's going on, guys?
I
think their tuner broke, so they canceled their tour.
I think the part of your point though, I think is well taken, whether it's what's going on the last 2 years or not. The presence of adversity, whether it's on the football field or on the, on stage, whatever, the presence of adversity forces you to up your game. And a lot of times it's hard to up your game without people pushing back on you, which may very well be part of the reason, because I know, part of your story, depending on what all you want to get into, but you had a lot of obstacles over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years that kind of got in the way, or could have gotten in the way, of producing things. And once you figured out how you're going to produce things, it makes you want to produce even more, right?
Absolutely. And we have, professionally speaking, we have, when we record, you know, we still record the way we record. We book a studio, we book the musicians, we talk about what we're going to do, and we go in and somehow with the magic of the number system, the folks in Nashville create the most beautiful music in no time. So we still do that. However, in the movie world, we have now, I am so glad that what happened, because now we have a whole new way of filming movies. We no longer have a call time and 60 people work, or 60 people being paid where maybe 20 of them are actually working. What do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. So we have determined there's a better way to film, and that's how we will do it from here on. But I'll also say that I've now gotten to the point, because there's been a lot of personal things that have happened. There's been a lot of health things with Alicia that have happened.
Right.
Where now, when something bad happens, we no longer go, oh my God, this terrible thing is happening. Our default position is, this is awful, so we must be really close to something great.
Right.
And if you can get there, and I highly pray that you get there, that is the biggest game changer in your personal and professional life.
Right. Right.
We must be really close to something great, or this wouldn't be happening.
Well, and to that point, I don't know what all you want to get into, but you know, I know Alicia. I'm so glad that she's doing so well. It also, when you confront something that is really a lot worse than I've got complications making my movie, you know, when you're confronting something that's much more, you know, of an obstacle that's going to have a lot greater repercussions, and you find your way to the other side of that, and you know, it kind of enables you to have, you know, a much healthier perspective on making stuff for fun, right?
Well, absolutely. And I tell you, it also, Jeff, it makes you realize each day is a gift. Each breath is a gift. So, folks, what we're talking around here is my wife was diagnosed, excuse me, with stage 4 breast cancer 3 years ago. The day we started our movie called Christmas Cards, the very day. And it was devastating. But we did decide to look at it as something we could control, something we could, I don't want to use the word beat, because I don't believe that you, I've never quite believed this, so I'm going to go all odder on you for a moment, is I believe that we all have cancer. We just all have a system that keeps it at bay, right? So as long as this system is a little bit higher than your cancer, then everything is fine. But when you deplete this system through sugar and bad diet and all kinds of things, you give your cancer an opportunity to get a stronghold.
Right.
So when someone in a white lab coat tells you that you have cancer, you have two jobs. One is to weaken cancer any way you can. And the other is to strengthen your system that fights it, that keeps it at bay any way you can. And that sounds so simple, but it really is. I believe it really is that simple. Now, we race dirt track. I'm going to try to make this very quick, but we race dirt track, and Alicia had 2 accidents in the last 2 months that affected her back. In fact, as I'm sitting here right now, Alicia has two compression fractures in her back. She has a broken back.
Wow.
Cancer is an opportunist.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, here's your spine, if you have two breaks in your spine, cancer will go there, even though you have beaten it, or as I say, kept it at bay. So cancer will go there. So apparently, cancer is attacking the weak points in her back right now. Because we've been through it, we say two things. Okay, we got this. We know what to do because we've done it before. Stage 4, remember, stage 4. So we know what to do because we've done it before. Plus, we must be really close to something great, or this wouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I promise you, that probably sounds like the ramblings of a crazy man. But I've always been crazy, and it's kept me from going insane. But I'm here to tell you, it is that simple. It is a mindset. You must not allow other people to be in charge of your health, to be in charge. So that's on this level we're talking about, to be in charge of your safety. Now we're talking about masks and mandates and vaccines, or to be in charge of your freedom. You have been given the gift of freedom. It is yours to do with what you please. If you choose to give it up out of fear, then you have made a terrible mistake.
Right.
Do not, under any circumstances, give up your freedom. Don't give up your safety, and don't give up your health as you define them.
No.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
Hey, tell me about Poker Run, because I love this. Got a chance to stream it. You wrote, directed, and starred in this great sequel out there. It's good to have a little fun. We were chatting before the show. Poker Run for you guys had to be a thrill to shoot and make.
It was a thrill to shoot and make. And folks, I am one of the world's biggest Smokey and the Bandit fans. Okay, I lied myself onto the set. Burt Reynolds and Hal Needham were dear, dear friends of mine later on in their lives. And I'm here to tell you Hal Needham being the director of Smokey and the Bandit and a lot of those other films back then. Right. Yep. He and I worked together many times. Burt and I never worked together, but we drank together a lot, and I think that's probably even better.
That's right.
But here's the first best thing I can tell you about Poker Run, because it's the sequel to Stand On It, which was a tribute to Smokey and the Bandit. Poker Run is 1,000,000 times better than Smokey and the Bandit 2. So there, I said it, and we won't even mention Smokey and the Bandit 3 because
was there a 3? There was a 3.
That just shouldn't be done. That's like Voldemort. That's the name that should not be mentioned.
Yeah.
But what we did is we put the same cast and crew together. It's myself. It's Cody McCarver from Confederate Railroad. It's Keith Burns from Trick Pony. Right. He's in it. He plays a great nasty guy at a bar that we stop in, or a diner, or as they romantically called it in Smoking the Bandit, a choke and puke. We called it something else, but it's Mindy Robinson, who is a wonderful, wonderful patriot gal out there, out of her mind with patriotism, and I love her to death. So we got together here right at the studio in Louisiana, where the train makes the camera move on a box, and we filmed. Over the course, this is one of those things. Usually, 5 years ago, we would have started on a certain date and ended on a certain date. But because of what happened in 2020, we got principal photography done in about 5 days. And that was it. Now, that's not how long it took to shoot the movie, because we have stuff on the river. We have stuff on a dirt track. We have stuff on dirt roads and gravel roads and paved roads and the interstate. So I then went with 1 or 2 friends, and filmed all the rest of it, what we would call the second unit in the old days.
Mhm.
But the fact that we shot basically all of the dialogue in the movie, whether we were in the car or in the bar or in the caboose, in 5
Right.
days, that was the gift that the pandemic, or plandemic as we call it here at John Schneider Studios, that was the gift that whole thing gave me. So because of that, it is so much fun. It was so much fun to shoot that it's an incredible amount of fun to watch. But we didn't cross the line. I'm going to go back to Smokey 2 one time. What happened in Smokey and the Bandit 2 is there was a feeling that Bert had, a belief that Bert had, that if you're having fun on the set, then people can't help but have fun watching the movie. And that's
Right.
true to a certain degree. We had a great amount of fun on the set of Dukes of Hazzard, but we were 5 days a week, 12 hours a day, 10 months a year. So we weren't just all yucking it up and having fun. Like you guys know, if you're on stage and you're having more fun than the audience, you've gone too far.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So we didn't go that far. We had a ball, and now thousands of people, not millions, hopefully one of these days I can say millions, but thousands of people have seen Poker Run, and every one of them says that it feels like the 70s, what I call a Southern horsepower comedy. It feels like Dukes and Smokey and Gator and White Line Fever. It feels like all that stuff all over again. And I think we need that. We need to stop taking ourselves so seriously and enjoy ourselves for a change again. You know, make America laugh
Right.
again. Why not? Ooh, there's a hat.
There's
Mala.
that's what look. I had to say that the show was entertaining for so many years. I was real young when it came out, probably 6, 7 years old. But at the same time, I remember Grandma putting it on there with CBS, and it was to air there for the 150 shows, 150 episodes that you guys did, spanning 7 seasons. But tell me about your, I guess, memories from that as you look back on Dukes of Hazzard and kind of what it was. And I still love that Dodge Charger 1969 car that you guys had, one of the most famous, iconic cars of all time. Do you ever get a chance? Do they ever sell it from the show, or do you guys still have it in the museum, or is it?
Oh, you talk like there was only one. We had 329 of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had more cars than Joan Rivers had facelifts. We had. There's one that a friend of mine owns that was the first one, and he got it. It's the one that Bubba Watson wound up with. But there were a lot of cars. It was a whole lot of fun. I was 18, 18, 19, up to 25. I wrote and directed the last episode. When I look at Dukes of Hazzard, for me, is when I was doing it, I was such a fan of movies and television already. And I'd been doing theater for 10 years by the time I started Dukes at 18. So this wasn't a new thing for me. Being on the #1 show in the world was a new thing to me, absolutely. But the work of having to be dedicated to what I was doing was not new to me. So when I realized the people that were directing Dukes of Hazzard had directed Gunsmoke and had directed Mannix and Columbo and I Spy and I Love Lucy and Bewitched, when I realized those people were responsible really for everything I had been watching my whole life, I questioned. I wanted to know why they did what they did, and I wanted to learn. So one of the reasons why, when the COVID thing happened, both my wife and I were so ready to invent a new way to do it is because of those relationships with the directors during Dukes of Hazzard. So I was a sponge. I just soaked up everything. I would sit and watch Russ Livingston, who edited the show. I would sit and watch him edit. on a moviola, and I saw us move to a flatbed. Digital did not exist on Duke, so we were all Panavision single camera film. An occasional Aeroflex on for you folks who know what I'm talking about. Aeroflex we'd use on second unit. But to me, Dukes of Hazzard was my college education that I never got.
Right.
As far as relationally, it was wonderful. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss Denver Pyle, who played my Uncle Jesse.
Yep.
Right.
I love Denver Pyle with every fiber of my soul. Jimmy Best, dear friend. I miss Jimmy. But Denver really raised me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was 18, so Denver took me under his wing. And come to find out many years later, right before Denver passed away, I found out that he had kind of an estranged relationship with his own children, as I did now for a while. I don't with my youngest anymore. We love each other, and we speak all the time, and I think that's great. But come to find out, I was to Denver what he was to me. I was kind of his surrogate child who he got along with, and he was my dad or my uncle out there. I got along fine with my father, but he was in New York. So
Right.
And then Tom and I speak quite a bit. The COVID thing kept a lot of the reunion shows and autograph signings and all that kind of stuff from happening. So this is the longest I've gone without hugging Tom, I think, since we met, and we need to remedy that.
Yeah.
So it was great. I mean, I was 18, and if I wrecked a car, then somebody'd give me the keys to another one or a screwdriver. You know, we didn't really need keys. So I was a kid in a candy shop. Wait a minute. In fact, if you all want to know what that experience was like, I actually just happen to have this because it's all folded over. This is a book I wrote called My Life, My Way. And it kind of outlines a lot of what we're talking about and my belief that we have something to do here, and we're all very uniquely designed to do it. But it kind of outlines the tenacity that you need in order to do it.
Right.
You know, a lot of people wait around for great things. You know, God has great plans for me, and I'm just going to wait here till they happen. No, you idiot. Get up, go out and do something, because God is very active.
Right.
And if we're made in God's image, then it makes sense that we need to be very active or proactive. You know, we need to get out there and make things happen. We are on this is great. We are on a trail. We are not on a treadmill.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I'm going to put that in the next book, but I'm going to write that down.
I like that.
And that's going to have to be a much bigger hat.
Yes.
I like.
I wonder, John. You talk about having to keep going and having there being a purpose to what you're creating, and I wonder how you look at so much of what you've created in retrospect. You were aware of some of it in 18, but you were just talking about James Best, of course, who was from Dukes of Hazzard. But then you start thinking about the fact that some of his earliest acting experiences were with Burt Reynolds on Gunsmoke. Right. And he had a lead role in Hooper, right? Which was one of my favorite Burt Reynolds movies that Hal Needham directed. And you've got two characters in the film named like Little Needham or Tim Needham and Tiny Needham, or
Tiny Needham,
something,
and Needham.
Which I assume is a nod for that. I picked up on the trailer because I heard somebody refer to you as McCluskey, and I was like, wait a minute, I know what that is. Which is Gator McCluskey from the film, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So when you look back at
so many little gems in there, like, oh, I'm so
Right.
glad you caught that.
Yeah, the Frog and Fred and Frog and yeah. But I mean,
and of course, I'm a Mopar guy. So people say, why didn't you use a Trans Am? Well, because I'm a Mopar guy. So
Right.
I have to I can't take 40 million Dukes of Hazzard fans and throw them away because it should be a Trans Am. No, we have the only two T-top. They are not really Hellcats. They sound like them, but they're not really Hellcats. We have the only two T-top Challengers in the world. And they're about 200 yards from where I'm sitting right now. And the car, the 16-year-old in me who was on the set of Smokey and the Bandit, sitting in that Trans Am, is just going, wee-hoo! I love it that we were able to bring a brand new muscle car to movies.
Right.
And with a great pedigree of being Bo Duke, Mopar guy, talked my way onto the set of Smokey and the Bandit. Bert was a friend. Hal was a friend. I did what movie did I did with Hal? Bandit. He did a series of it was a wheel on ABC, I think, and I played Sheriff Enright in one of those, and he actually fired Stan Barrett, the fastest man in the world, was doubling me, and he said, "I just saw Schneider drive. Stan, you're fired. Schneider, do it your own stunts." That was great.
Did you? I don't know that you did this because I didn't get a chance to compare it, but I saw it in one of the trailers. Did you actually copy some of the camera angles from that first Smokey and the Bandit water jump?
Well,
because
well, there's only a couple of places you can put a camera when you're jumping over the river.
Okay.
So we did, but that wasn't intentional. Absolutely intentional was when we premiered the car coming out of the back of the truck.
When it rolls out, rolls down
and
the
then
ramp.
absolutely intentional was Cody putting Duke the dog. If we have a pit bull, not a basset hound. So when he puts Duke the dog onto, Frog the dog, but the dog's name is Duke. Yeah. So when he put the dog on the top of the car, that was all absolutely intentional.
Yeah.
But how great is it? We have Tyrus.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
We did his show. Alicia and I did his show called Nuff Said, and we hadn't started Stand on It yet. And I wanted Tyrus to come in and be Tiny Needham, right?
Okay.
The big dude. I thought, this would be great. And I said, Tyrus, I'd love to have you because he lives in Louisiana. So I'd love to have you in the movie. And he said, I would love to do it, but if I could be the Jackie Gleason character, I would feel like I'd died and gone to heaven. And he started quoting Jackie Gleason lines from, that was an attention getter. But don't do it. So he started quoting Jackie Gleason lines, and I thought, oh my gosh, this would be great. I said, but there's a lot of COVID hadn't happened yet. So I said, there's a lot more involvement if you're going to play that role. There's a lot more for you to do, which means more time on the set than if you do Tiny Needham, because he'll come in, we'll shoot that in one day and then be gone. But he said, oh no, I want to do it. I live in Louisiana. I'll do anything to be in it. And he's wonderful. And because of him, we got Dion Baya, who plays his son in the movie. Dion also works for Fox, but he's a sound guy. So he's the sound guy on Gutfeld. He is a classically trained actor and was a delight to work with, not only in Stand on It, but also in Poker Run. And as fate would have it, in Poker Run, Tyrus had just signed a new deal with Fox, and they wouldn't let him be here when we needed him here. They'd rather have him sitting in a hotel in New York. This is just kind of what networks do, because they don't want anything to upset their apple cart.
Right.
So I understand it. But on the day we needed Tyrus to be on the set, the night before, we didn't know if he's going to be able to make it or not. That night at like midnight, he said, I'm sorry, I can't make it. So we had already shot a couple of things because I'm the director and I'm a little bit of a freak. So I'd already shot a couple of things where we couldn't see who the sheriff was. When you see Poker Run, we're looking at one direction on the poker table, and then we're looking at the other direction. So we shot all of the stuff with Dane and Michael and Rebecca first, waiting to see who was going to be Papa. Then he didn't show up. I called one person, and they had COVID. And it's Quentin Aaron. I think, gosh, I'm sorry. Quentin is in The Blind Side.
Yeah.
So I called Quentin and he couldn't do it. So I had only one choice. So I called Dane Rhodes and I said, Dane, I want you to play, which he wanted to do originally and stand on it. He wanted to be the Jackie Gleason part. I bumped him because Tyrus said he wanted to do it. So I called him back and said, Dane, I want you to do the sheriff role in the sequel to stand on it. And he was delighted, but there was one problem. He is also Tiny Needham. He had already done that whole role, and I have yet to have anybody watch this film that realizes they're the same guy.
The same guy. Wow.
He is that good. What we do have in the trailer and in the movie, he comes up, says, I got you now. And I look at him and I say, who the hell are you? And he leans in and he says, Tyrus couldn't get out of his gig with Fox. He called me this morning. Just go with it.
Right.
And I said,
well, that's in the trailer. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So when you are an independent filmmaker, you just have to go with it, but you can. You know, we can. When the bass player doesn't show up, you call somebody who's a great bass player because you know you have to roll with the punches.
Sure.
I love Tyrus. We're going to do a third film, and in the third film, my dream is to have Tyrus and Quentin and Dane all playing the same role at the same time.
I love it.
Wow.
Now, a studio would never allow that, but I think that's exactly what we're going to do.
I like that
Of course,
idea.
with Fox's permission.
Yeah.
That disclaimer right there, no doubt. I love this single. We're going to come back. We're going to take a time out, pay some bills here on the Backstage Pass. It's Brandon Morrell and, of course, Jeff McMahon. The countdown to CRS is on February 23rd to 25th at the Omni Hotel in Nashville. Great lineup for you. Just a few artists out there. John Barry, the group Exile, and, of course, the artist Craig Campbell are going to join us there at CRS coming up. It's John Schneider. We're going to pay some bills, come back with our sponsors.
All right, I'll be right
ask
here.
About what family might say and a whole lot more with the great John Schneider. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrell and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with the great John Schneider on the Backstage Pass. Of course, thanks to Mitch Max and Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions. Always good stuff out there with our sponsors. Couldn't do the show without there. And of course, CRS coming up here in just a few weeks. Jeff, myself, and Kirsty. Looking forward to bringing you some of the best coverage there musically at CRS. Definitely proud to have John Schneider back here on the program. A lot going on tomorrow at 5:30. Big treat here. Former Dancing with the Stars co-host. She's done it all. Brooke Burke is going to stop by here on the Backstage Pass tomorrow. Looking forward to talking to Brooke.
Oh, that's great.
Tomorrow. That's always a fun time.
Yeah.
You know, she's got some cool things out, John, so that'll be fun catching up with her. Also at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, John can give us some insight on that.
I did Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, you did.
Let me ask you, I'm going to go there. How was that? I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done. While I was doing it, I was doing the Haves and Have-Nots, the Tyler Perry show. We were touring, so Emma Slater would have to travel around and meet me wherever I was several times in Nashville there and rehearse for about 6 hours a day before I went to work. So it was, I'm glad I did it because it was way outside of my comfort zone. And I think you should do that. I think you should do that about every decade. I think you should do something that you would never, ever do. And Dancing with the Stars was one of those things. But I made it like 8 weeks. I mean, I did pretty good. Of course,
I voted for you.
That was the year that politics won, though. That was the year that politics won, and because there were several people that should have won. I should not have won. I'm not saying that, but there were a couple of people that absolutely should have won, and the person that won absolutely should not have won. And I don't think there's anybody more surprised than him.
Well, I'll make sure I.
Isn't that right, Bobby?
A hello, warm welcome to Brooke tomorrow. Definitely, we'll
please do, because anybody who's been on that stage, we all have something great in common. So that's terrific. I actually spent some time with Randy Couture, and he did Dancing with the Stars, and you know he's tough as a Waffle House steak, and it about killed him. So there you go.
And of course, everybody would recognize him from the Expendables movies, probably more than anything else, right? Yeah.
Well, unless you're an MMA fan, in which case,
right,
yeah,
you know him from that.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about. I know we're gonna. Brandon's gonna get into some music here, but as we make that move, I'm curious. You talk about Dancing with the Stars. We talk about the history of all those Needham movies and all that stuff that we grew up with and how all that comes back around. But you've also been involved in like you said, the Have and Have Nots, Smallville, a movie that nobody will ever see the ending coming, which is Doonby, which I watched. And I was like, did that just happen? I was like, I couldn't. How do you, as a songwriter, you're, certainly interested in being a good storyteller. Right. All of these are storytelling. How do you decide what story you choose to tell?
When, from an actor's standpoint, when I read something and I think I can't wait to see that movie, then I want to be in it. But from a writer's standpoint, something will happen. Somebody will say something, or I'll be involved in a circumstance, and the actor will tap me on the shoulder and go, "That's a great." Either a scene, like when you write, whether you are writing something for the chorus, something for the first verse, the second verse, or you will know specifically that's part of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when somebody says something or I witness something, the writer actor inside of me will go, if they say that is the basis of an entire film, which is what we're doing right now. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute. Then I have to sit down and I start writing it. I start writing, and it takes sometimes it'll take 2 weeks. Sometimes it'll take 6 months. I've got some scripts in my computer that I've been working on and off for a decade. One of these days they'll be finished, and hopefully I'll live long enough to be able to do them. I just might not be playing the role I had thought I would be playing. And I don't always write things for me.
Right.
These Southern horsepower comedies I wrote for me because I feel that I kind of have a unique pedigree in that world. But the one we're doing right now, I had heard a story about a man in, I think it was somewhere in Arizona, that someone filed an injunction against him because they didn't want him driving his car within 200 yards of the high school because he had the American flag on the back of it, blowing in the breeze as he would drive by. And I thought, that's awful. Then I heard the thing that broke him up the most about it was not, it's my right and I'm free and I can do whatever the hell I want. No, he had learned the Pledge of Allegiance in the 2nd grade in that building that was now the high school, that was now trying to arrest him for flying the flag of the United States. So that is not the first chorus, the second chorus, the first verse, the second verse, or the bridge. That is the whole thing.
Right.
So I started writing, and this little voice in my mind said, this is a man who fought for his country. This is a man who fought for our freedom. This is a man who came back from war, who probably has survivor's remorse.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a man who is looking for some way that he can die for his flag. Mm-hmm. And that's where the title "To Die For" came from. Okay. It's not like a great pair of boots. Oh, those boots are to die for. No, it is a man who has felt worthless for 30 years, who now looks at, here's something going to tie it all together. He is now looking at this tremendous opposition as a tremendous opportunity to do something that he wishes he had done 30 years ago.
Right.
So welcome to the way my mind works. And we are, again, because of what I learned through 2020, I'm not quite finished with the script, but I've already shot 3 scenes for the movie. Wow. Because I can.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And they're beautiful. They're wonderful. I've got a Emmy-winning cinematographer who was actually the first person in Fallujah as the troops were coming over during Iraqi freedom. We talk about the first person in line to be the first American over there, but the only reason we know they were the first person in line is because the real first person from America who was in Fallujah was holding a camera. That's my cinematographer. So he knows what we're talking about here. He knows about survivor's remorse. He knows, he feels what I feel, and probably even more, when I hear people calling, my flag on the top of the General Lee was called the #1 symbol of division. Now people are calling the stars and bars the flag of the United States of America. They're saying that is a symbol of division. And we've got to do something about that. I have got to tell a story about that. And we are. And no studio would do that. There's not a studio in the world that would make this film. And shame on them. So we are making it. It's called To Die For. Our goal is to have it out in time for the midterm elections. Because our insistence, our urging to everyone is, don't believe your vote does not count. go out there and vote. And I don't care what your vote is. I don't care what side you vote for, but vote. People died for your, very recently, people have died for your not only right, but your obligation to vote. So go out and do it.
Well said. Well said. Hey, tell me about this with Keith Burns. We talked about this before the break. What family might say, how much fun this was to put together. And we've had Keith on the program here. Last year's CRS, always a fun guy to talk to. And the song, I dug the song. So musically, I'm kind of getting into a lot of things for you, not just with Keith, but musically are going on too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Keith, we're going to play Floribama in a couple of weeks. It's going to be great.
Next month.
So
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Keith is one of those guys. He can look at a limping dog crossing a freeway and write a song about it. Just and so this you just never know what family might say. Was great. We have a song on Stand On It called Truck On that we wrote over the phone. He texts me a line, I text him a line. I love Keith, and he is always, if Keith Burns says, Johnny, I'll be there, put it in the bank.
Yeah.
If he has to crawl on broken legs, he will be there. And I love that about Keith. We love Keith. We love Bonnie. They come here and stay at the studio quite often. He just played at, I think, the Red Dragon in Baton Rouge, and they stayed here while they were playing there. So it's great. And like I said, he can write a song about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and it's fun. And we have a song you can see on I don't think they took it off, but it's called Trump Card. Mm-hmm. So check that out. It's a great video. I have a video of a song that he wrote called Cowboys Don't Get Old.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best songs I've ever heard. We have a brand new song that's a Cody McCarver song called If I Was a Younger Man. And we're having a little bit of difficulty getting it out through Spotify for some reason. There's some computer glitch. But when it comes out, check that out. It is a beautiful, beautiful song, a song that I think Johnny would have written and sung for June if he were alive today. I'm going to sing it at the Opry next week. Hopefully I won't sound like a frog like I do right now. But I'm going to be singing at the Opry next week. Going to be doing Younger Man and another song that I promised Dottie West. I used to tour with Dottie.
Right.
And to me, Dottie West was the original female outlaw. Mm-hmm. And several have come since, but Dottie was an outlaw. And she had a song that has been covered since called Lesson in Leaving. Somebody gonna give you a lesson in leaving somebody.
Right.
Well, we redid that song. I'm not a big cover guy, but we redid that song because I promised her that one day I would sing that song with as much testosterone as she did. And I think I did. I think I did. You can't be apologetic when you're singing Lesson in Leaving.
No, no.
I'm going to do that song and Younger Man on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry, and I can't.
That'll be great.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, fun.
So I've got like meh, followed by absolute beauty. So tune into that. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
Speaking of beauty, I want to get into this because this was really cool. Co-starring with Reba, Lifetime's Christmas tune this holiday season. The great Reba McEntire, we all know and love. Beauty at its core. She's done so much for the industry, both entertainment wise and of course musically, and as an actress, and of course her TV show and everything else. How much fun was that to put together in another terrific movie you guys did?
No, it was great. I first met Reba at Emerald Studios, which I think later she bought. Mm-hmm. But I met her. I was on MCA, and she had just signed. I was with Jimmy Bowen on MCA, and she had just signed to Bowen on MCA. So I think she had just gotten to town. It might have been the first day. So our relationship, our friendship, and understanding of one another, and understanding of what the music business is, goes way, way back. So there's an unspoken relationship that happens in that movie that I really don't think could have happened between two other people. Because yes, she's done a whole lot. She's done a whole lot. I've done a whole lot, and we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, well I've done a whole lot. Oh yeah, well I did this. Yeah, well I did this. Okay, so there's that kind of relationship, and it was the easiest thing. It was an easy film to make. We made it. The only difficult thing about making a Christmas movie is you usually shoot it in July.
Right.
And I believe we did. We shot it in Nashville in July. But working with Reba was an absolute delight. And I think we might do another one. Mm-hmm. I hear rumblings about doing another one. So I would love to do that. And it's really the only work outside of what Alicia and I do here. I don't go out and look for work anymore. I'd rather play in my own sandbox. You know, I said it a couple of weeks ago on Newsmax. They said, you know, what about cancel culture? I said, you can't cancel me. I quit. You know, I picked up my shovel and my little bucket, built a sandbox in Louisiana, and this is where we play, unless we're recording music, of course, in which case we come to the great state of Tennessee and we record right there on Music Row most of the time. In fact, we have a condo at the Spence Manor, which was the first place I stayed, the Spence Manor Hotel, when I first came to Nashville in probably 79 or 80. We own what was Ronnie Millsap's office. So, nice. You know, I'm kind of I'm one of those folks that wants to save the row, you know, save Music Row. Mm-hmm. I cried when Bobby's Idle Hour was torn down. I have bricks from Tavern on the Row built into our fire pit out here at the house. Mm-hmm. I think it's a travesty what's happened on Music Row, and I wish I had Ray Stevens' money. I'd do something about it.
Yeah.
Did you hear me, Ray? Stop selling your buildings. By God.
Hey, people that know you too, John, know it's a great organization, the Children's Miracle Network. You co-founded that with Marie Osmond. Talk about, kind of give us an update on how things are going. Love that you are able to give back, and that's one of the things about being in entertainment, whether it's acting career, musically, that kind of thing. It's always great to give back and just put smiles on kids' faces.
Well, yeah, and help them with their health needs. Children's Miracle Network Hospitals has been around now since 1980. I say 82, Marie says 83, but 83 was when the first show was. 82 was when it was planted and seeded and built. So we have raised a little bit over $8 billion, that's with a B, $8 billion for children's hospitals. And one of our children's hospitals might have been the whole time. If not, then it was almost the whole 40 years, is Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. So Vanderbilt Children's Hospitals has been part of CMNH for decades. And I'm very, very proud of it. What we do is we raise money for children's hospitals and then give it to them. They decide what to do with the money. We don't. We have no belief that I'm not a doctor. I have played one on TV, but we know how to raise money. So that's what we do. We have wonderful corporate sponsors, and we've been able to honestly save children's lives for 4 decades now. And many of those children have gone on to have children their own, and they are friends of Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So it's pretty spectacular. We do a big event every year. We have not done it the last 2 years, and I disagree with the reason why we haven't done it, because I bet in the last 2 years I've shaken hands with 500,000 people, and I'm fine. So I don't believe in giving up your freedom for safety. I think safety comes and goes. Freedom, once you give it up, it's very difficult to get back. But we have this year again, I believe we are doing a cyber celebration where we celebrate our children, we celebrate our doctors, our hospitals, and our corporate sponsors. And our radio, we do a bunch of folks do. We have a bunch of radio stations involved, a bunch of television stations involved. So we will celebrate them. My hope is that in 2023, we'll actually get back again and be able to look people in the face and say, my God, you are a lifesaver. Thank you for what you've done. And shake their hand. I know, call me crazy. Shake their hand, hug their neck, and tell them how much we appreciate what they've done for children for these last 40 years. At that point, I guess it'll be 41. But it is a remarkable thing. And I'm glad that you brought that up. You know, my dad used to say, you know, one of these days you're going to be gone and everybody leaves a mark. But it's up to you right now to determine whether or not your mark is going to be a stain. So think about that as you are leaving your mark.
Right.
Well said, no doubt. Hey, I want to do a couple of rapid fire questions, but I do want to put the website out there, johnschneiderstudios.com, for the DVD availability of Poker Run, and of course streaming wherever you can find streaming out there. YouTube, check out the trailer too at the same time, and go get.
Yep. And you can just get my app. I have an app. I have an app. It's called John Schneider. It'll work on your desktop. It'll work on your iPhone. It'll work on anything. It'll take you anywhere. So get the John Schneider app. Yes, rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire. All right, John, we'll do a couple of these.
13, red, and 47.
Football plays, we could call it. All right, let me ask you this one. Football-wise, John, we just saw one of the greatest weekends of professional football we've seen over the last 2 or 3 days here and there for some teams. But there were some shockers, some prizes. If you're a football fan, is there a team you follow, or you just kind of peek at it every now and then, or is it something that you don't follow?
You know, I don't follow it. When they took a knee, I took a walk.
Okay. I can respect. You know what? I can respect that, no doubt.
Yep.
All right, let's do this one. Game show.
I would watch football with Alec Baldwin's eyes. Sorry.
You're good. All right, if there's a game show out there for John Schneider, you've done it all in the entertainment industry, but if there's a game show that's currently on right now, you could be a contestant and like win money, what would you pick?
Oh my God. Do they still do Let's Make a Deal?
They do.
Yep.
They do. Yes, they do.
I watched that when I was a kid. I would love to do Let's Make a Deal. I have an egg beater in my pocket. And I'm happy to see you. Right.
I love it. All right, we'll do one more. If John Schneider will do food question. John Schneider's ordering a pizza and it's just for John. What toppings go on it?
Oh, it's the Meat Lovers pizza. Just meat. All of it on there. And crushed red pepper.
There you go.
DeSano's, by the way, DeSano's. I'm from New York. Okay. DeSano's Pizza there, right off Music Row. The best pizza I've had in Tennessee. The best pizza I've had outside of New York. And this is not a paid advertisement.
No.
No.
Jeff.
Okay,
Jeff,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, so you were talking about doing the multiple casting of the same actor in the upcoming sequel to Poker Run. So my question is this: let's say you're gonna bring back Dukes of Hazzard, and with all of your directing prowess, you're gonna play both brothers. You're gonna play both Bo and Luke, as well as all the other characters. The question is, will you cast someone else as Daisy or not? Or will you play that role as well?
I would not play Daisy. My first choice for Daisy, of course, would be Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay, well.
Don't you love that Bruce / Caitlyn is the only person coming out, pardon me, and saying men should not swim in women's sports. They should not play women's sports. They should not swim on the swim team. They should not. I'll leave you with this. That whole thing. Can you imagine if you were 16 years old and all you had to do, male? I think we're all males here. Yep. We're all males here, and forgive the word male. I'm sorry if that offends you. Go away. But imagine for a moment that all you had to do was say, I identify as being a female, and then you could go into the girls' dressing room? If that's all you had to do, no one is factoring in the basic animal nature of males into this equation. And I wish they would. I wish they would, because I have daughters. I raised girls. I don't want some guy regardless, I don't want some biological male in the restroom or dressing room with my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just do not. I draw a line there.
Yep.
And things have gotten terribly out of hand. Remember, if you'd like to get them back in line, vote come November. Vote, vote, vote. And I don't mean, vote multiple times like, many dead people who voted for. Anyway, vote.
Yeah, sure you do.
You must do it.
Yeah.
It is not just a right. It is an obligation. It's a requirement. Don't skip it.
Make sure you do it, but don't.
By golly, it's a mandate. Voting is a mandate.
And I'll tell you what else is a mandate. Poker Run. Go get it on the app, or, of course, stream the trailer on YouTube and the DVD, johnschneiderstudios.com. One of the best out there in the entertainment industry. John, we appreciate the time and looking forward to catching up when the new projects come out. Thanks so much for the vibe today.
CRS. I'll be in town just before it, but I don't think we're in town for CRS. But enjoy yourselves. Remember, shake the hand of all those radio folk out there. We do appreciate what they do, and I will see you guys down the road. Bye-bye.
Okay, pal.
John Schneider, of course, tomorrow. Brooke Burke on the Backstage Pass. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Have a great night.